no ordinary loot. UFC's the battleground where warriors collide. Die Hard MMA podcast, we won't hide. Clint's gonna dig deep, analyze each brawl from the underdogs to the champions standing tall. The fury, let your instincts rise. Feel the adrenaline rush, it's time to defy. Die Hard MMA, we're in it for the thrill. Get ready for the madness. Let's make that bankroll spill.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the undefeated post-weigh-in show, UFC Vegas 100 edition. How's everybody doing? I hope your Friday is going well. I hope you're feeling good. I hope you either just got off work or you're off work and you're kicking your feet up and you're relaxing. Maybe you took a couple of shots. Maybe you cracked open a beer. Cracked open a beer, not crapped open a beer. We wouldn't want you to do that. Either way, welcome to the best damn betting show on the internet today. The undefeated post-weigh-in show right here on Home of Fight. Do me a favor, share the show if you haven't already. Please hit the like button in the description below. And I need your guys' help because we are trying to get this channel up and over 10K. We are this close. We're up over the 9K mark, but I need 10K subs by the end of 2024. Help me get there, you guys. I need you to get me there. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, it's going to be the best betting channel for MMA on the web. Please do me a favor and just click that little subscribe button so we can hit our goal and we can get there by the end of the year. We got a couple more fight cards to do it. If it's your first time on this show, first off, I don't know what you're missing, but we go over everything. One final time around the sun. We broke this entire card down on Monday. There's been a few changes. There's some short notice replacements. People are off the card. We break all of that down here. And then we watch the fighters weigh in. We watch the fighters weigh off. And then I tell you everything you need to know so that you can make the best decision possible for tomorrow. I, as always, will tell you what I am betting on. You can use that information how you see fit, and we all make some cash. All right, here we go. Sports knows what's up. Tinfoil cap time. Let's freaking go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the chat. Good to see all of you guys. Thank you very much for being here. Okay, so the first fight of the evening, we got Melissa Mullins taking on Claudia Sagula, and we have our first big piece of news for the day today. Melissa Mullins misses weight, 137 pounds. She missed it by a hook. I guess by the full pound, actually, because 135 and a half would be the hook, wouldn't it? So she misses by a pound, and she looked rough, let me tell you. She did have an absolutely massive jaw. This girl's got a jawline on her. Holy crap. It's going to be tough to knock out Melissa Mullins to the head because that, my God. Claudia Sagula, on the other hand, 136 pounds, really looked fine up there. Big smile. She looked very skinny. That's something I noticed. Her build doesn't have a whole lot of muscle on it. That's something noteworthy, in my opinion. These two size up very well. Claudia is the slightly taller of the two fighters in this spot. Man, I spoke on Monday about this fight, very much giving me Zeleski vibes. Remember when I went way too big on Daira Zeleski a couple months ago? I very much get those same type of vibes from Claudia. You guys, you go back and you run through her tape, you run through her last couple of fights. Her last fight was a mixed martial arts fight where they had like custom rules where there's like no grappling and stuff like that. So she is extremely questionable when it comes to her takedown defense and her ability to grapple. In fact, her only loss as a professional comes by way of submission. I had just an absolute like revelation, mind blown type of moment here today. I am absolutely going to be betting Melissa Mullins by submission, you guys. Currently sitting at 9-1. But Clint, she's never had a submission professionally. She's got 0 submissions on her record. I know that, guys. I know that. But her opponent only has 1 loss, and it is by submission. She is quite literally being like spoon-fed, non-grappling fights. Very recently, she has very little experience. She is 25 years old, so she is very young. And even though Mullins doesn't actually have any submission wins so far, her level of competition has been much, much higher in her professional career so far, which explains part of that. The other part that we need to talk about is the fact that Melissa Mullins is a BJJ brown belt. She's been doing grappling competitions. She's doing stuff outside of MMA, and she is winning those by finish. She's got a lot of rear naked chokes and stuff like that. Go check out her Instagram. She's been doing a lot of grappling. So it's one of those sneaky ones where unless you're either watching this show right here or you spent the time and you dug in deep and you went through all the X's and O's and you dotted your I's and you crossed your T's, you might miss the edge here. What did we talk about just a couple weeks ago when we got that round 3 Jocelyn Edwards submission? Tired people tap. And we're going to get a fighter who is not used to wrestling. I know Melissa Mullins likes to grind on people. She's a volume striker. She wants to push you up against the fence. She wants to take you down. She has a hard time holding you there, so she takes you down again. Against people who are just monsters, like Nola Cornol, who she fought over in Paris, France. Unless you're not able to just bully and outlast somebody in their gas tank, that is going to wear you out. And especially against somebody who is not as good of a grappler, I fully expect that game plan to actually work and also tire her opponent. So we're going right back to the well. We're going to play the plus 900 sub, and we're going to play the round 2, round 3 sub sprinkles, because the deeper this fight goes, I think the more this young girl who's a pillow-fisted kickboxer is going to end up getting tired. And Mullins, she might go for the ground and pound TKO, okay? She very well might. However, I think it's more likely that she gets on the back of this girl and taps her out, especially because she is ever so slightly the smaller of the two. Believe it or not, I actually think that matters. When you've got someone who's taller than you, it's easier to backpack them than it is to try to like physically hold them down, that kind of thing. So unless she just completely folds and covers up, which I don't think she's going to do, I think Mullins is going to have to tell the judges not this time and grab a neck and try to end it that way. So I'm saying Melissa Mullins. I'm saying Melissa Mullins by rear naked choke. So let's go ahead and get some of that sub prop. Let's go ahead and get some of that round 2, round 3 sprinkle on there to start our night. Next fight up, Tresean Gore takes on Antonio Troli, 186 pounds for both these guys. Tresean Gore looked good. No problems for him. He never really has an issue making weight. Troli, he did this weird like thigh slap and salute thing. I mean, it was like he was whipping his own ass, like doing the horse racing thing. Like, I don't know what that was all about, but he looked fine up there. Very well built, looked good. Tricoli's massive, you guys. He's absolutely huge. These two face off, and there was a full head height difference on Antonio Troli. Now, I know Tresean Gore packs a punch, right? But we have seen him struggle with being the smaller fighter at the UFC level. And I know Troli is not necessarily the guy everybody wants to bank on being UFC level, but he's tall, he's big, he hits hard, he's not afraid to cheat. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. We are no longer getting mad at people who cheat. We are betting on them, and we're taking the bag. We're making money on people, because when you get a no contest, when you pop for PEDs and they overturn your finished victory to a no contest, does your bet get refunded? No, it doesn't. They keep your money. So we're betting on cheaters from now on this show. And Antonio Troli absolutely is one of those guys. So I fully expect him to be in good shape. He's had a camp leading up to this one. He's facing a much, much smaller opponent, and he's a big-time grappler with a BJJ advantage. I'm on Antonio Troli. People made fun of me earlier in the week for this one. I got plus 165. That number went down to about plus 140 at one point in the week. It has bounced back a little bit. Troli currently sitting about plus 150 right now. So the market's been a little bit kind of unsure on this one, but frankly, you guys, I think he's an extremely live dog in this spot because I'm just done with the Gore experiment. The dude is 4-2 and he's in his prime. He's not really showed us anything. And I had somebody arguing with me in the YouTube chat the other day on Monday, or just after the Monday show, that he's like shown consistent improvements. Where? What improvements are you seeing? Like we've seen him lose twice, and then he got a Hail Mary submission over the worst fighter on the roster after losing the entire first round. That's all we've seen from him. He's shown absolutely no ability to put the game together. So I don't see how anybody's laying chalk in this spot. You may not want to take the dog. I understand Troli is like a mangy, foaming at the mouth, rabies-infested dog that we might have to take out behind the woodshed and tell the kids to cover their ears after this one. But that's the kind of dog I like to bet on, and especially when a favorite just is not worth their price tag. Got to go. Absolutely got to go. I'm already in on Troli. He is my dog of the week this week, so God be with us. Good luck. Link be with us. Good luck on this one if you guys are tailing. It's greasy. It's nasty. You probably should stay away, but it's what I do. Next up, you got BlackShear taking on Cody Staman, 135.5 for both men here. BlackShear absolutely shredded up there. Oh my goodness. He looks sucked out as ever, but he is always in insane shape. He's got abs. Wouldn't believe the abs on this guy. Cody Staman, absolutely jacked. That's the one thing that's never changed about this man. He's been around absolutely forever, and he is about as muscle monster as you can get. I don't know how he packs that much into his biceps. His arms are essentially just cylinders. Like, they never get skinny at any point in time. He's huge. But I say he's huge. The problem is he's not. These two face off, and BlackShear has a big height advantage, you guys. Not a height advantage, a size advantage. I mean, we're talking frame, we're talking shoulders, we're talking back, we're talking height. BlackShear has a big size advantage coming into this fight. And boy, was this an intense face down. Cody Staman is usually the type of guy who's pretty respectful with his opponents. BlackShear looked like he was gonna murder somebody up there on the stage today. So this is a very weird position because I know to respect Cody Staman, right? Like, he's a guy that he's absolutely earned my respect, but he also absolutely seems to be on the back nine of his career. He is declining. We've seen that in his recent performances. He never was able to get over the hump as a contender. You give him a decent step down in competition, and that's when he does kind of start to shine, but he's got no power in his hands. He doesn't hurt anybody. And word on the street is he got the call for this fight while he was on his honeymoon. Like, he was out like vacationing with the wife when he got the call for this one. So absolutely the perfect opposite of being in camp, of being in shape, of being ready to go. So I know there's some issues with BlackShear. I know he gets tired. I know he gasses out late in fights sometimes, but he's got such a huge size advantage here that Cody Staman is not going to be able to push that grappling the way that you would usually like to see him do. On the feet, BlackShear is going to have long-range weapons that give Cody Staman problems. And on top of that, Cody Staman just is not going to be able to muster the kind of offense that it would take to hurt or slow down somebody like BlackShear. So yeah, maybe he does end up getting tired in round 3 and like plays jiu-jitsu off of his back. But if he won the first 2 rounds, which I fully expect him to do, then BlackShear just wins a decision in that spot. I was very tempted to go on like the +3.5 spread with Cody Staman, but my guest on Monday, Austin, and I chatted about this one. And the reason I'm not going to add that as a play, even though it makes a lot of sense to me here, is because what we've seen from Cody Staman is against this exact body type and against this exact level of grappler, he's really struggled. So Cody Staman's been finished twice, both by submission, both by guys that had solid height and reach advantages on him, both guys that could match him in the grappling. You look at every other guy on his roster, and none of them are jiu-jitsu guys of the level of a BlackShear, of a it was one of the Nurmagomedovs, and then it was Aljo. Those are the guys that ended up getting him. So now I'm not putting BlackShear on Aljo's level, obviously, right? But when it comes to the pure jiu-jitsu, the grappling, the scramble ability, that is his forte. I mean, he's one of the few guys in the UFC with a twister submission. Cody Staman tends to put his head into guillotine chokes pretty regularly, looking for that wrestling, and he is not 100% firing on all cylinders coming into this one. Like I mentioned, he's getting older. You can see a couple chinks in the armor. He may not have been taking this camp as seriously as usual. He might have gotten started a little bit late for this one, and he could just be taking this as a payday. So I for all those reasons, I'm not playing the plus 3.5 on Cody Staman. I understand the dog shot. I totally get the angle, and this number has come down a decent bit. But at the end of the day, I think BlackShear is probably going to find his way to Cody Staman's neck when he shoots in on one of those takedowns. Maybe he finds the back. He's just so much of a bigger human being. I think BlackShear by sub at plus 400. That's making the submission special, you guys. That's absolutely going to find its way into some of the crazy, stupid parlays that I do. I'm picking BlackShear to win. I don't want to lay this price tag just because of, like I mentioned, he does slow down. He does tire out. We have seen him kind of give away some of those opportunities like that before, but this is a hand-picked fight. This is absolutely a spot where BlackShear is being gifted an opponent that doesn't really cause him any problems except the cardio. And if he can't pass this test, I mean, you know, he might as well be Robellis to Spain. Next fight up, you've got Charlie Radkey taking on Matt Simburger, 171 pounds for both these guys here. Chuck Buffalo, very relaxed, gave the classic double birds on the scales today. He likes to flip everybody off at weigh-ins. It's a thing. Matt Simburger looked extremely pale on the scale. Eyes sunken in, mouth hanging open. He looked bad, you guys. Matt Simburger is a pretty big guy for this weight class, and he's been doing this for a while, but that was a rough weight cut for Matt Simburger here today. Decent sized face off here. Matt does have a small height advantage in this spot, but coming off a fight where he got out wrestled by Alex Morono, like I can't do anything but look at the Charlie Radkey side of things here in this fight. Charles Radkey is a guy that I've had kind of an up and down relationship with. I talked about how bad he was when he made his UFC debut, and I really thought a guy like Blood Diamond was, you know, just the perfect guy for him to come in and lose to, and the UFC was trying to pop up Blood Diamond one last time before he got exposed, and well, he got exposed that night. Like, Charles Radkey performed better than I expected. He actually performed decently well against Prates until he got knocked out, and so I've kind of got some newfound respect for Chuck Buffalo, and I think that Matt Simburger, while he's a guy that is really tough to kind of pin down and figure out where he belongs here, his only notable win is Jake Matthews. Everybody else that he's beat has been cut by the organization. And we all know Jake Matthews has a bad day every now and again. Jake Matthews is known for letting fights slip away from him. So he really doesn't have any momentum. He hasn't had a whole lot of success. He got finished very recently. I kind of feel like this might be walking papers for Matt Simburger. And as much as Charlie Radkey does, you know, cost the UFC and some fines when it comes to the things he says on the microphone and things like that. Hey, clicks are good for everybody these days, right? Like, he absolutely moves the needle when he gets on the mic after a fight. So I don't think they have any problem with him spouting his nonsense as long as he gets some numbers driven there. So I am going to lean with Charles Radkey in this fight. Minus 165, the favorite. I wanted lower. I was hoping the love for Simburger would come in so I could buy low at like a minus 130 type of price tag or something. I could see this fight being very close. I could actually see Charles Radkey going back to his wrestling and his grappling, something we don't see a lot of right now in the UFC, but considering the blueprint just kind of got laid out for him against Matt Simburger, I think he might want to go to that to lock up a win, make sure we get on track. That is something that we have seen quite a bit in the UFC lately. Guys who are struggling, guys who are on like a 2-fight skid, stuff like that, they do whatever it takes to win their next fight. And it's not usually that first round statement KO. Like, I mean, every once in a while we'll see that, but usually it ends up being a risk adverse grinding decision where they do just enough to go ahead and get that win, leave zero questions. And then we see the normal them in their next fight. But for the one where back is against the wall, it's win at all costs. I could see some wrestling from Charles Radkey here this weekend. What's going on, Player for Real? Let's go. Jeffrey, what's going on? We got Cedric, we got Jay-Z Doodles. I love that name. All right, everybody, let's keep on rolling. Do me a favor and hit the like button if you haven't yet. Zach Scoggins is taking on Zeleski dos Santos. Scoggins coming in here on short notice. Another weight miss today. This guy came in and blew the 170 limit here. 174 pounds is where he came in. Zeleski dos Santos, consummate professional, made 171. Zach Scoggins, very sucked out, man. You could see the cheekbones on this guy. He looked really dejected up there on the scales today. I didn't do my research into Zach Scoggin, you guys. I do apologize. I've been having a hell of a week, and I've got a big pay-per-view card next week, and life is just kind of spinning out of control in some areas for me here. So just to be completely straight with you, didn't have the time to do my tape study on Zach Scoggin. But you do have Zeleski dos Santos as a big favorite in this spot with the money line and the total chalk to the under. I fully expect that Zeleski is going to be the better, well-rounded fighter in this spot, but he is a bit older. We've seen how that goes before. Sometimes these unknown guys that are younger just kind of step in there and they get the damn thing done. I don't have an opinion for you on this one simply because I don't have the information on Zach Scoggin. Scoggins about a half head taller. He's a very big dude, but I don't like the short notice, obviously. And we've seen Zeleski dos Santos do just terrible things to contender level fighters. He's very tough. He's very gritty. He's durable. He refuses to quit. He's got BJJ in his back pocket. I mean, Zeleski can win this fight kind of however he wants to, and then I'll have to go do some legwork on Zach Scoggins. Frankly, I don't know if it's going to happen in time for me to have any type of action on this fight, so I wouldn't expect me to be able to tell you anything notable on this one by fight time tomorrow, unfortunately. Good luck. And if you're clip jumping on that price tag with Zeleski dos Santos, God bless you. But I'm probably just going to be leaving this one alone. Real quick, you guys, as you guys know, the sponsor for this show is Bet Openly, and we are running contests, you guys. If you have not signed up for Bet Openly, I don't know what you're waiting for. You are missing out, and I am giving away money. First and foremost, if you're on Bet Openly, you already know that you're paying 1% instead of laying minus 110. You're getting plus 100 on every single line, basically saving between 8 and 13% on every single bet you make. We are over $8 million saved for gamblers, and on top of saving gamblers money, I'm actually giving away money. So if you guys haven't signed up, please do. I'm running a contest this weekend. I ran one last weekend. I'm doing some fun stuff with like the NHL. We're letting the chat pick like goal scorers, and I'm going to string them all together using Bet Openly's instant booked housed DFS props and stuff like that. So I'm just giving away cash, you guys, and you got to be signed up for Bet Openly to take advantage of that. So if you ever wanted to dip your toe in, but you don't want to, take the leap to depositing just yet or something like that, just sign up, come play in one of my free contests, win some cash, figure it out that way. And secondly, you guys need to know the Home of Fights picks team, they're up 140 units over the year 2024. I'm getting my ass whooped. I'm having a bad year this year. You guys know that. But the Home of Fights premium plays are up over 140 units. So you guys need to check that out. Link in the description below. You can sign up for the Discord where the premium access is available. You also can click the link down there for Winnable. It's a lot like Dub Club. So you can get those picks sent directly to you when the guys make their selections. So please make sure you click those links, check those out, and let's wrap the rest of this preview up. Finishing the prelims is Denise Gomes and Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Now, you guys know how I feel about the card that closes out the main or the preliminary show, right? I think this is the second or third most important spot on the entire card. I think that the final fight of the prelims is more important than the first fight of like the main card, because that's the one that gets you to stick around. This is the one the UFC is put in this spot because they expect it to be a banger. With all the men on this card, with all the weird fights on this card, they chose Denise Gomes and Karolina Kowalkiewicz to be the one that sets up the main card. Why would that be? Well, it's because Denise Gomes is going to knock Karolina the fuck out. I've already told you guys this. I am now even more rooted in that prediction because of the placement on the card. The UFC knows what's up. Denise Gomes made 115 pounds today. Karolina came in at 115.5. Denise Gomes gave a smirk, gave a flex, no problem. She is sky high in confidence, looking good on the scales today. Karolina, I'll be honest with you, she looked a little bit rough, but she always does. She's a little on the skinny side, and then when she gets sucked down, she looks pretty bad, but it's never been something that's affected her performance in the cage, so I'm not going to knock her for that. Karolina does have a slight height advantage here in this spot, but it all comes down to the physicality, the explosiveness, and that's all on the side of Denise Gomes. We've talked about it before. Karolina just simply does not like getting hit in the face, you guys. She is done with that shit. She is over it. She wants nothing to do with that these days. This is her second run in the UFC, and they brought her along as slowly as humanly possible. They softballed Karolina as long as they could, but she is now 39 years old. She is on a 4-fight win streak, and when that happens, you have to fight people who are actually on the correct level for you to make the paycheck that you're getting paid. and they gave her Yasmin Lucinda in her last fight. She lost in that one, and she looked like she was going to get finished a couple different times in that fight. However, Yasmin wasn't quite able to put her stamp on that fight. It turns out she doesn't at the UFC level have the kind of power that we thought maybe she would. She's a little bit more of a decisionator, a little bit more of a submission type of fighter. Well, now they're turning around and they're going, okay, that's one prospect who got the notable win. Let's get a second prospect getting a notable win here. Denise Gomes, 24 years old, and just carries nuclear missiles in her hands. She reminds me so much of Jessica Andrade, and in fact, I believe she's been taken under the wing of Jessica Andrade. So she's going to come out here and use that explosion. She's going to use that power. She's going to use that force, and she's already got 2 TKO victories in the UFC, one over Yasmin and one over Bruna Brazil. So, I mean, some very notable names that she's already knocked out at this point, and it's really the more veterans who've been able to give her a problem. Angie Hill, Loma Lukbunmi, people that are very difficult to put away. I don't put Carolina in the very difficult to put away category. I know she's only got, one real TKO loss on her record, but did come to Jessica Andrade. So if that tells you anything, I think the UFC is kind of setting up what I'm seeing here on this one as well. I think it's going to be like a round 3 finish after Carolina's just had enough, after she's been kind of beaten to a pulp. She'll give it her best go in round 1. But then tights are going to turn in round 2. Gomes is going to start hitting her with big power shots, and she's going to slow down. She's going to gas out, and then Gomes is going to put her away late. So I've got Denise Gomes via round 3 TKO as the prediction on this one. And I like it. I like it a lot. I think this should be a really, really fun fight. We've got Radoslav Kolev asking, do you have a code for Bet Openly? I want to make sure you get credit for my sign up. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for that. But actually, I don't have a code. It's just the link. So if you use my link in the description of this video, or when I'm like posting on Twitter or Instagram, the link that I post is the one that's actually directly connected to me. So I appreciate you looking out for me. I really do. Make sure you hit up Uncle Gino. Gino is the owner, operator, creator, the mind behind Bet Openly. And the more you guys let him know that Clint sent you, that just helps out a ton. So I will get credit for it if you use my link, but making sure Gino hears about it is the other way to really make sure that gets driven home. He's everywhere. He's on Instagram. He's on Twitter. If you leave a review, we have an app now for Bet Openly, which by the way is a game changer. So if you would leave a review on there and just, again, say something to the effect of Clint got me here, something like that, that's the way to support me. That's the way to keep it coming. I appreciate you for thinking of me, my friend. All right. Next fight up, you guys. We've got Mansur Abdul Malik, and he's taking on Dusko Todorovic. 186 for the big guy, Mansur. 185.5 for Dusko Todorovic. And Mansur is big. My God. No problem making weight today. Big dude. Didn't look uncomfortable. Seems like he's got this. Dusko also, no problem. He's one of these guys that's a little bit of soft body, you know what I mean? So you're never really looking for anything too impressive on the scales. Mansur is a massive human being, you guys. He gets up there, and he is much larger than Dusko. He is broader than Dusko. He's got a bigger back than Dusko. I mean, he's a monster. Somebody stuck a man in the, Brazilian super soldier program the way they did Yoel Romero, and you ended up with this guy. He's a beast. There's such a size difference here. I don't want to under explain the size difference between these two. Dusko's a guy that really relies on being a little bit more of a vet. He tries to, mix in the wrestling, take people down, but he's not a great offensive wrestler. He's not a great defensive wrestler, frankly, either. And then he's got 0 defensive ability striking. So when this guy is out there striking, he gets caught, and you're going up against Mansur off Dana White's Contender Series, who's just got massive power in the hands. He's also another guy training out of a good gym. He's got the look the UFC is looking to push. This is new toy versus old toy is what this is. The UFC is looking at this guy from Dana White's Contender Series that's gone 500 in the UFC so far, and they're going, all right, let's flip the script here. We've got an undefeated monster coming through. Let's go ahead and get him in there. All right, let's go. Next up, you've got Luana Pinheiro taking on Jillian Robertson. Pinheiro came in at 115.5. Robertson 116. She needs every little bit she can get coming down to 115 pounds. Luana Pinheiro gave the one arm flex. She looked good. Always does. No problems. Zelda, shush. You don't know what you're talking about. We are not doing that on Jillian Robertson's fight today. You hear me? Behave yourself. Jillian Robertson looks sucked out big time. She always does. 115 is very difficult for her to make, but frankly, guys, it's a science, okay? She's gotten it down to where it's crisp and it's easy peasy for her. She is good to go. She is gonna have a size advantage in this position here. And she actually did go ahead and get up there, and she gave the old and no, that's not the FU, like this is the rear naked choke. She got up on the scale and gave the rear naked choke after weighing in, which you love to see. She's always looking to extend that lead for the most submissions in UFC history. Jillian does have a size advantage here in this spot. It's not as pronounced as I thought it would be. The UFC numbers are just always lying to us, right? Like I thought she was going to be another inch or so taller than Luana, but it's fine. Any size difference I'll take. Guys, the big key to this story, my God, we got to switch hats. We got to switch hats. It was the smile. Please find Dana White on social media. Look at this face off, you guys. So they get in there, and Jillian is feeling good. She's getting in close. She's getting all up in Luana's grill. And then, sorry, I got to make sure my coyotes are on the front here. She like leans in close, and she is intense. She is staring through the soul of Luana. And then all of a sudden she smiles. And it's like, oh, like, it gives me chills. Look at this. Like, she knows, you guys. Jillian knows. It was a moment where she went from, I'm ready to fight, to, oh, I'm going to beat this bitch's ass. Like, that's exactly what was going through Jillian Robertson's head during this face-off. And Luana, she just kind of shrunk physically a little bit. Like, she never once looked like she was trying to send that same energy back. We all know how this fight's going to go. Round one, Luana will do her damnedest to keep Jillian off of her, and she might catch her with a big shot. She might catch her with a head kick or a knee or something. If she knocks her out by round one, like, we know that's entirely possible. But if she doesn't, Jillian's gonna close the distance. Jillian's gonna grab onto her, and Luana's set, like her baseline defense is judo. She's gonna look for hip tosses. Whenever women do that, in women's MMA, they actually can still hit these kind of hip throws because their hips are explosive. They tend to be lighter, different body weight styles, all that kind of stuff, right? We don't need to get that much into it. But you expose your back, and it's something that's drilled into her. She's not going to switch her takedown defense suddenly for this fight and be a completely different person. She's going to look for these throws. So Jillian's going to be able to get in on body locks. Jillian's going to be able to grab legs and knees, and she's going to be able to grab arms, and hell, she might even be able to get on the back of this girl. Like, as soon as they make contact, Jillian's just going to stick to her like glue. And once she's on her, she's never going to get off of her. We've seen Luana Pinheiro tire in all of her fights recently, and she's actually gotten submitted in her last two. So if you're going to get worn out striking with Angie Hill and then submitted in that fight, like, I don't know what's going to happen to you when you're forced to defend takedowns from Jillian Robertson for 7 minutes. You're also going to tire, and then you're going to give your back up. And frankly, I've made no bones about it. Luana Pinheiro is a quitter, you guys. We've seen her fake an injury. We've seen her quit in a fight before. As soon as the going gets tough, as soon as she gets tired, this girl's done. She taps out. She's out of there. So yeah, I like me some Jillian Robertson. However, what I am looking at doing for this fight, I'm looking at attacking it from a couple of different angles. So I like Jillian Robertson to win the fight, fully expecting her to get it done. But I think the under, or the fight doesn't go the distance, actually might be the best way to play it. Because like I said, there is that threat in round one of this girl cracking Jillian on the feet, because she does have a striking advantage. She is very explosive. It's possible. So if you want to get in and make sure you cover yourself, fight doesn't go the distance at minus 200, is actually probably a half decent parlay piece. I just, no matter who wins this fight, I don't see it going the full 15 minutes. And then I thought about parlaying that up like with like Denise Gomes, because I fully expect Denise to win that fight. That's like minus 130, minus 128, minus 130 for that two-legger parlay. And so I'm expecting Jillian to win. I'm picking Jillian to win. I think Jillian's going to win by submission. I thought about the TKO. Everyone's talking about the 12-6 elbows, and don't get me wrong, she will put those into use here. So we will get some ground and pound from Jillian. But at the end of the day, like we talked about, the hips of Luana being her baseline, judo being her go-to, the rear naked choke is Jillian's go-to. She's going to look for that finish when she has the opportunity to take it. So once she lands a couple of big ground and pound shots and Luana turns her back, she'll look for the throat, because that's just what Jillian does. So I don't want to get too invested in the TKO. It's totally possible. Don't take plus 110 on the sub. lay minus 130 inside the distance. That will protect you from the 12-6 elbow TKO from Jillian Robertson, but I fully expect it to be a submission. Fight doesn't go the distance. Parlayed with Denise Gomes, minus 128. That's probably a parlay that's going to make my card this week, and we're going to expect it to be Jillian that gets it done, but we want to respect the offensive prowess of Luana Pinheiro early on in the fight. Because if you're just going to do the Jillian and Gomes parlay, it's a little too pricey. Because Jillian's a minus 400 favorite. You're getting like minus 204 for that two-legger. You would need a third leg. And I just don't like money line parlays that get you like even money. I just don't. All right, guys. Next up, we've got Gaston Balanos taking on Cortavius Rumus. Gaston Balanos 135.5, Cortavius 136. Gaston is shredded up, you man. Big time cheekbones. My goodness. This guy's face was sucked out. Another one where you can kind of see the skull. Cortavius, big flex. This guy is jacked. Him and Cody probably go to Planet Fitness together. Like, these guys are built absolutely massive. It's funny because when you face off again, Gaston has a decent size advantage here. I like the guy. Romeus did the crazy eyes, which worries me a little bit. I've been told by somebody who means a lot to me that you never bet against crazy, and Romeus is doing the crazy eyes thing. So I'm a little nervous, but so you guys, I did pull the trigger on Gaston Balanos here in this spot. The line has moved against me. So I played two dogs, right? I went Gaston and I went Troli. Troli has moved my way. Gaston has gotten away from me. Neither of them are big moves, so it is what it is. But I'm kind of expecting to go at least 1-1 on these underdogs here. Gaston Balanos is currently plus 180. Cortavius Romeus is minus 220. And Romeus is a guy who took 2 shots on Dana White's Contender Series. I am putting my money where my mouth is. I am unzipping and putting my balls on the table, and I am trusting them. I have a suspicion that unless you're a special case, if you take 2 tries on Dana White's Contender Series to get into the big show, you're probably not that good. That's my theory, okay? And I'm going to bet against those people. So I am betting on Gaston Balanos almost blindly because Cortavius went 1-1 on Dana White's Contender Series, and he got knocked out in the one that he did end up losing. Gaston Balanos is bigger. Gaston Balanos is a better striker. Even though he struggles with the wrestling, Cortavius Romeus is a guy who makes mistakes in the grappling. We've seen him fall off positions. We've seen him end up on his back and search for arm bars. Like, that's not what I'm looking for. So I understand Romeus might come out here and tie this guy into a pretzel. Entirely possible. He might take Gaston Balanos down, get on top of him, never let him see the light of day. Entirely possible. But I actually think Gaston Balanos is going to keep this fight on the feet. If he takes even just the slightest little bit of his foot off the gas and like works the jab or like looks to counter, like, I actually think Cortavius is going to have a real hard time getting in on those takedowns and actually achieving them. We'll see how this fight goes. This one's dangerous. This one's risky. But I'm taking a dog shot here on Gaston Balanos. We have seen way too many favorites in 2024 win. Some of these dogs are coming through, you guys. It's always the ones you never expect. It's always the ones that are unheralded. Like, everyone is betting against them. And that's the dog that shows up and knocks on the front door. Like, we've seen it for the last couple of weeks. The ones that have come through have really been the big, shocking, surprising ones. Not even like the little coin flippy type of ones, right? Like Rob Font. Like Rob Font absolutely ruined everybody's parlays that had the Matrix in it a couple of weeks ago, because that's the one that came through, right? Like, it's been tough. Dustin Stolfus, he ruined my day just last week when he knocked out Andre Barrio in the first round. What the hell? Like, I still am not over that happening. If he's gonna win, maybe by sub, maybe by decision, never by KO. He knocked him out clean. Just one punched him on the feet. Like, that doesn't happen. So it's always going to be the random stuff. So I'm looking at a couple of dogs that people do not like this week. And hey, if you're with me, you're with me. If you want to fade me, God bless you. Hope you make some money. We've got what is now the co-main event of the evening. God, this card fell apart, you guys. By the way, if you didn't know, the other fights all got canceled. So there were a couple of weigh-in problems and then a couple of fights that we lost leading up to this bad boy. Let me see here. So Cody Garbrandt, Miles John's got a new opponent. Ricky Tercios rehydrates. So the Sopai fight got canceled. We've actually seen Ricky Tercios pull this move before. I don't want to say duck, but Reiner de Ritter, 185. Gerald Mearshart, 185 on the dot. Reiner de Ritter coming to us from 1FC. He's been fighting at 205. Obviously, the hydration and weight cutting rules are different over there. And now he's coming over here, dropping back down to 185. He's huge. Like, this guy's big, and he's got a weird proportions. He's got really weird proportions. He's got like a small head and then like a barrel chest. And he reminds me, oh shoot, I'm forgetting the name of the guy I'm trying to reference. I hate when that happens. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's just a really weird look when he gets up there, but he's got plenty of muscle on his frame. He made weight well enough. I was a little worried because it's been a while since he's cut down to 185 pounds. You know, especially as you get older, it's tough to force your body back down that way. He seemed to have no problem doing it. Gerald Mearshart looked a little rough on the scales, but at this point, I mean, that guy's face looks like a steak that's been, pounded and then fried. Like, it's just Gerald Mearshart. Like, we love the guy, right? Like, he's a lifelong warrior. This guy's been through hell and back multiple times and just keeps smiling and choking people out. So, like, what do you expect? He looks rough on the scale, but he's fine, and it never affects his performance. He's good. I'm still jealous of the handlebar mustache. The guy's got something going there. Reiner de Ritter does have a decent size advantage here in this spot. This was a very respectful face-off here. Jack and Kelvin Gastelum, Elon Musk. Those are both excellent comparisons. Thank you. I was thinking Brian Battle, actually. Now the name has come back to me here because he's so tall and he's so skinny and he's got like the skinny arms, but like the torso is like freaking huge. Anyway, that's good. Elon Musk. I like that. So you totally blew my train of thought. Thank you for that. Reiner de Ritter. The UFC is banking on an injection of new talent here. But guys, I've been on every single Gerald Mearshart comeback you've ever seen. Every one of them. Like, I have bet against Gerald Mearshart more times than I can count. And it's simply unhealthy because if you get off of it, the fight goes exactly the way that you would expect. 36-year-old Gerald Mearshart gets sparked. He gets taken out in the, he gets absolutely destroyed. And it is what it is. But if you bet on him, like, you're just getting rewarded at plus 250, plus 300, hitting sub props at 10-1. Like, everybody that's been betting on Gerald Mearshart is printing money. This guy just keeps on doing it. It's always a round 2, round 3 sub with this guy, and the numbers are always ridiculous because he's never supposed to win these fights. We have seen Reiner de Ritter get cracked before on the feet. We have seen him gas out. We have seen him tire out. Like, it's a thing. So if I bet on Gerald Mearshart to get a sub, I did that against Andre Petrowski, by the way. He loses a split decision. I'm the mush of the week when it comes to Gerald Mearshart tickets. So I'm trying to like avoid betting on Gerald Mearshart this week, but frankly, that's the only way that I could look. I think it's a better live betting spot than anything. I said that about the Edmund Shabazian fight last time. Edmund looked like he had Gerald Mearshart dead. And then all of a sudden, we end up on the ground and scrambling, and that was it. It was over. It was one-way traffic as soon as the fight hit the floor. De Ritter is a very good black belt. He's a very strong grappler. So I don't think this is going to be the same type of one-way traffic, but we have seen him get tired before, and that's really the key. If he gasses, Gerald will tie him into a pretzel. There's going to be opportunities for Gerald Mearshart to win this fight in this spot, but it's one that I really just don't have interest in betting. I don't feel good about betting on Gerald Mearshart because, frankly, every time I do, that's when he loses. So I'm just going to leave it alone. I don't want to lose money on or against. You guys can play Gerald Mearshart round 3. Cash those tickets. You're welcome. I will stay off so that you guys can go ahead and prosper. Main event time. Neil Magny takes on Carlos Prates. And before I get into this one, guys, do me a favor. Please share the show. Please hit that like button if you have not. And again, I just want to repeat, we are trying to get the 10K subs by the end of the year. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Help me get to that 10K goal by the end of 2024. Neil Magny made 171 pounds. Carlos Prates, 170 and a half. Neil Magny was all smiles on the scale today. He looked really good. Shredded as ever. Looked fantastic. Relaxed, ready to go. Carlos Prates relaxed to the next level. Like, this guy doesn't feel the weight of the world in the least bit getting up there. Felt good. Smiles. No problem. These guys size up actually really well. Magny does have just ever so slightly a height advantage here in this spot. Prates was getting intense, though. I mean, we're talking like lip snarl and everything getting up in the grill of Neil Magny. Magny not one to back down, though. This guy will meet fire with fire in the octagon. He really has been through it. Like, Neil Magny has fought every prospect the UFC has coming up in this weight class. And he's the one that determines whether you're legit or not. If you defeat Neil Magny, especially if it's impressively, if you finish Neil Magny, you're the goods. You're legit. But if you don't, you're not headed to the top. Ian Machado, Gary, jury's out on that one, because maybe he could have finished and chose not to. Mental problems. But if you're from Canada, unfortunately, if your name is Mike Malott, you got your fraud check. You got exposed. That's exactly what happened here. So Neil Magny is going to absolutely put this guy to the test. And you guys know that Carlos Prates is my new version of Alex Pereira. I just don't believe. I can't get behind him. I know, fighting nerds. I know the power. I know, but I just can't. And you guys, Neil Magny is exactly the type of greasy, mangy dog. You guys all make money on Gerald Meerschaert, but I have made money on Neil Magny. He's the guy that's underappreciated, that everybody looks past, that goes in there and just does the damn thing. And when it's a greasy fight, when it's a split decision, especially when it's 5 rounds, that's the guy that shows up sometimes. This is a big step up in competition for Carlos Prates. This is a big step up as far as he's facing somebody with amazing cardio, somebody who can grapple. None of his previous opponents in the UFC have been able to grapple, mind you. And he also has someone who's got that size parity thing, where he's got the same height, he's got the same reach. He's going to cause problems as far as the range goes. Prates may not be able to get off the way he likes to in some of these spots. I am not going anywhere near minus 800. And it's damn right disrespectful for DraftKings to have the KO prop at minus 400. They're protecting themselves. Is that the most likely outcome? Yes. I will pick Carlos Prates to go ahead and win this fight, you guys. But I'm going to be watching it very, 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 very closely, because I think Neil Magny might be able to pull the upset. The deeper this fight goes, the more likely it becomes that Neil Magny is in this fight. I actually am looking at the overs here. So I know everyone expects Carlos Prates to just run through this guy. We just saw Michael Morales do it, but they have very different styles of fighting. I think Neil Magny is going to have some success in the grappling in this fight, and I actually think that Prates is somebody who likes to take his time a little bit more. We've seen a lot of his knockouts come in round 2, in round 3, because he sets it up. He's fine to take the back foot. He's fine to be calm and let you kind of come to him. He starts hunting the deeper the fight goes. So unless you're a Charles Radkey that's running forward to meet him in the middle of the octagon, he doesn't usually tend to start that fast. I think the over 1.5 at minus 120, you can find an alternate over at DraftKings or something like that. I think that's the way to go here. I really think this fight gets into the second round, and then it might even get into the third round. We might see some late rounds. And if it does get to those later rounds, then that's where Magny becomes very enticing. And I might just burn 1 unit on Neil Magny, you guys. Plus 550 at this point. It's getting to the point of being disrespectful. And being the biggest, toughest challenge that Carlos Prates has faced in the UFC, I know the leg kicks are a problem. I know the grappling defense is a problem. I'm not sure that Prates has any grappling whatsoever to show. And that's really kind of the big thing here, is if Neil Magny can get off on some cage wrestling and make this guy tired, the guy that smokes 2 packs a day right after he fights, I could see Neil Magny actually having some success here. So yes, it's probably Prates. It's always Prates. But every once in a while it's Magny. So I may hold my nose and take that shot. That is the Undefeated Post Weigh-In Show, you guys. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. Thank you very much for watching. Again, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 10K by the end of the year. Help me get there. I hope you guys make piles. I hope you guys make wonderful bets, make money this week in betting on the UFC, and we will see you on Monday for the big, big, big pay-per-view coming up next week. Thank you very much. Love you guys. Let's roll.